Hello dear friends, winter season is upon us and snow and blizzards and snowstorms and heavy snowfall is arriving in the mountains. So I'm doing my winter prep. I have put on my winter tires, which are Nokian Hakkapeliitta studless winter tires. They have served me well 2 seasons, so I'm on a 3rd season using them now, and they're just amazing. My van is, as most of you know, front-wheel drive, and it doesn't have a lot of horsepower, but what you really need for winter travel up here is proper winter tires. They do not have to have studs. Most people prefer studless these days, and they will get you around in most conditions. I've used my snow chains once. I always bring them, and the one time I used snow chains, that was on pure ice covered by like this layer of fresh snow. So there was no way of getting out on that. That's just completely ice. So there was a big layer of snow and then pure ice. So now for the first time I'm taking out my snow chains. Okay, gonna try with only one chain to get out. I think that should be enough. Looks like I need both chains here. I'm gonna put on the other one as well. Okay, I got those on as well. Let's see how this goes. Well, I guess that worked. Got the chains on now. So, worked really well. So this is where it kind of... I need to tighten this a little bit. The ice is just crazy here. This is just pure ice. You could skate on this stuff here. I think this Hertz rental car here is also stuck. Looks like it tried to get out and couldn't make it on the ice. But this is the reason why I bring my snow chains. It's not for snow, it's for stuff like this. Okay, let's see if we can get all the way out. Oh, it's icy here as well. There's the tourists. Just want to repeat what I've said many times before, and that is 4x4 will not help you on ice or winter conditions if you don't have the proper tires. The proper tires is number one, and all-terrain tires will not cut it. You need proper winter tires. If you have the wrong tires here in Norway and end up in an accident that has to do with slippery conditions, they will take your driver's license away. So you need proper winter tires. Do not trust your all-terrain tires or your 4x4. You need, number one, winter tires, and then, of course, 4x4 will improve on that. If it's really bad, you can add snow chains. But snow chains is no good if it's deep snow. Then you need to do something else. Anyway, so I've changed my tires. I've added the insulation mat for my back door. That's the area which has the most heat escaping through. The other area that gets a lot of heat escaping is under the door, under here. This area here, where the door is, usually has a lot of heat disappearing, so I add some insulation there. Basically, I just add a roll of thermal insulation that I can remove every time I open and close the door, and that helps a lot with that area. It is temporary, so you can just kind of take it away. This is not the proper one, it's longer, but you get the point. For my front windows and passenger and driver side windows, I of course have thermal insulation that I put on. Another thing I get a lot of comments about is that I should have insulations on my window. And I do have insulation on my window. They are double layer, so they're not like the single layer that you find in a lot of self-build vans. And it's also this cover here has thermal insulation on the outside here. So when I close this, I've never had the need for adding anything else here. That's all working really well. So when it comes to water, I get a lot of questions about water in my tanks. And what I can say is that I do not use water in my tanks during winter. So I cannot use my shower and I cannot use the faucet or anything like that. The water pump needs to be empty. So what I basically do is that I empty the big water tank. I'm gonna get and then I empty the water tank that is for the heater or boiler. That's an integral part of my heating system in the van. My Truma Combi 4, really good system that is kind of integrated into the whole van. So I empty those tanks. So in here, under the seats, is the Truma heater. It's behind here, and this is a safety valve for the boiler that's inside the Truma heater. So that is open now, and all the water has been emptied from the boiler. And after I've emptied the tanks, I go around and I blow through all the faucets, open up and blow through it to make sure that all the water is pushed back into the tanks and kind of escapes while I'm driving with the open vents for that. So this is what I do. I turn off the power in the van so the pump doesn't go. Then I open it, then I just blow into it like that. And if there's water in the system, you can hear it running out, which is a really good way of making sure that you don't have anything inside here that's gonna freeze. So that's a good way to prevent the water pump from freezing. I also take care to drive around with all the pipes open so that anything that's still in the pipes will escape before winter and frost season sets in. So for water in the van in winter, I have this 10-liter tank here, and comes with this tap here, and it's basically super simple. And I keep that in the bathroom. It has never frozen, so should be all good. I also get questions about my toilet, and my cassette toilet, I can use in winter. I add this antifreeze if it's really cold, but most of the time I keep my van warm inside, and that seems to be working really well with the toilet as well. For my toilet, I have a couple of these here. And I just pour that in to the cassette toilet just a little bit to get it started with antifreeze, and it's been working in any weather, no matter how cold it's been, basically. It's a different thing with the pipes that run water from my tanks, because they're kind of out along the outside of the van. So they're not super well insulated, so I never take a chance with water in the pipes, basically. Everything is emptied of water. I add my insulation to various places, and of course the back door, that's the most important place. So what else do I do? I haven't started bringing all my stuff into the van yet, but I have a redundancy system for safety where I have a couple of winter tents, my winter sleeping bag, that is a Western Mountaineering winter sleeping bag, minus 40 degrees. I also have a couple of stoves that I can boil water in, and a lot of winter clothing and skis and stuff. So I'd be able to survive outside the van if something went really bad. So several layers of redundancy, and that goes for the heating in the van as well. I have the brilliant Truma Combi 4 integrated heater. Most pre-built European vans have that heating system, and it runs off propane in my van, and I've had it down to almost minus 40 degrees and never had a problem with that. Gives off a really good heat with no moisture. There's an exhaust on the outside of the van that takes care of the moisture. The heat that comes out is kind of similar to a diesel heater. It's a dry heat that will help you keep your van dry inside, actually. Another way of heating the van is, of course, to start the ignition and let it run. So that's the second redundancy. The third redundancy is my whole wild camping winter setup. That should be good for any conditions, basically. I have 2 sleeping bags, like 3 or 4 woolen blankets, and a lot of winter gear that I can put on myself. Layer upon layer of solid Arctic winter gear. So I'll be able to survive anything. Another thing I want to do when winter arrives is to cover up the sunroofs in the bathroom and the sunroof in the bedroom. And I'm working on a couple of ideas for that. So this is the bathroom, and as you can see, some stuff are getting in when it's windy through the sunroof here because there's ventilation built in. So last year I used these here, the Velcros. And this year I'm gonna add this thermal insulation here up to that sunroof there. And it is something that I want to keep open from time to time to keep it ventilated. But when it gets really cold, it's good to cover this with insulation. This window as well is double layer, and it has this thermal insulation here, so that's all working. I'm also adding more insulation to this rear sunroof here. This has forced ventilation, so you can never close this off completely, but I'm gonna add something like this and a cover on top like this. I have a bunch of this thermal insulation here that I use for various insulation projects. And as you can see in my back door now, I have this cover here, and that is also fastened just with Velcros, so I don't have to drill into the van. I use these Velcros here from Biltema for everything basically. And of course I have my cover for the front grille protecting the radiator, and that is not to insulate the engine bay, it's to keep the wind from cooling down the radiator too much. If I drive and it's very cold, the wind chill will keep the radiator so cold that it won't heat the inside of the van. So all I need is to block that wind from entering the radiator, and then the engine heats up properly. I've tried that out down to like -35, and it really works very well. Now this is the cover for my grill, and it worked really well last year, but I'm gonna strengthen the zip tie points with some stronger tape this year. It is really not for the insulation, it is for just keeping the air from blowing in through the radiator. In case you're wondering, I have an alarm system down here that will let me know if there's some dangerous air in here. It's kind of on the floor. And some more security stuff in here. And of course my NoCo GBX45 is in here for starting the battery. I even have an ice axe in here, and it comes handy every now and then. Also doing a little test run on my heater. It's 14, 16 degrees inside here, and I put it on 25. And now I just heard it starting. Just gonna wait until I can feel warm air coming out of the vents here. So I got heating vent here under this seat, got another one here under the seat, and there's one behind the power station there that I have closed. There's another one here under the passenger seat, kind of comes out here towards the door. Then there is one here in the bathroom right next to the toilet. There is one here under the bed. So it's basically a lot of outlets from the heating system, keeping my van nice and cozy in winter. Yep, so that works perfectly. Let's not use the propane. Off. It's good to know that it works for the winter. Gonna put it back on electricity since I'm hooked up until I leave in a couple of weeks. There are a bunch of other things you can do, of course, and sometimes I do make adjustments to my winter prep as I go, but that's the basic stuff that I do. And then I bring a lot of gear, and I have a lot of extra thermal insulation that I might add and just tape to whatever is not working. So with my window here, last winter, this thermal cover here has kind of broken inside. I'm getting that changed now before I go on my winter trip. But last year I just kind of taped a different thermal insulation on top of that to keep it warm. But that was kind of a hassle to open and close if you wanted to look outside. And also my glow plugs are still giving me issues, so I'm taking it into the shop next week to have that fixed again, and I hope they can get to the bottom of that. It's kind of annoying, and with winter you really want your glow plugs to work. I got through the summer and it only gave me a warning signal like once every 2 weeks. But now as it's getting colder, it's getting annoying because I get the check glow plug warning every time I start the van when it's warm. Never when it's cold for some strange reason. So there's my winter prep for 2025. It's going to be my third season, and my experiences are pretty good with everything that I've done so far. There's not been any issues really. I slid off the road once, and that was not something I could have done anything with. You would have slid off that road no matter what your van was like, because it got off the pavement, and outside the pavement it was just sloping. It was just the weight of the van basically that pulled me further out. So no 4x4, no snow chains. Of course you never drive around with the snow chains on. So let me explain something about having insurance in Norway. The insurance company wants you to use their tow trucks if something happens, because they do not want you to self-rescue in most situations, because you could injure the van. And that is understandable, so it doesn't cost much to get a tow truck to pull you out. But if you did something really bad and you harmed the vehicle, that would be much more expensive for the insurance company. So that's why they keep the out-of-pocket very low, $50 to get towed out of something, and it's just so much better to have professionals doing that than you trying to self-rescue and you break things and you have to claim that from insurance. So they don't put any penalties either on that if you use a tow truck. It's just like pay $50 out of pocket and that's it. No reduction in your coverage, or no added expenses or fees or penalties or anything. That's just the way it works here in Norway. I know it's different in the United States and stuff like that, but it's a great system, and there's no point in destroying your van to try to do something that could be risky or something. That's something that's really good with insurance here for the vans, is that it's they cover these things that makes life easier. Anyway, I hope you'll join me for this season of extreme Arctic winter van life. I'm gonna go out now before Christmas, and gonna continue up north into the Arctic and see some new things and experience the great polar nights in the north. Now, of course, if you have questions or things you want to say, I'm always excited to read all your comments and try to respond to everything. Also, if you want to follow my journey and see my maps and see where I find my best campsites and facilities for the Arctic winter van life, you can sign up as a member here on my channel by pushing the join button, or you can join my Patreon, which is patreon.com/Norwegian Explorer, Explorer with an X. And I post all my maps there and exclusive content and background stuff. Also, it really helps if you subscribe and like this video. So thanks for watching, everyone.